You are welcome to my channel. In this video, we want to use the principle of tangency to reproduce the figure that is displayed on the right hand side of the screen. Now, the first thing you're going to do is to draw a vertical line this way, right? And we also draw a horizontal line this way. Can see that? Now, we see they are meeting at this point. Let this point be this point on the circle, on the figure, right? So that will be our center point of the circle. Now, the next thing you do is, from the question, we are told to draw half size of the dimension. So whatever dimension that we have, we should draw half size of it, right? That is half full size. Now, if you look at this, the circle here, the dimension given is from from this inscription here that says 3 buses, diameter 50, drill 24, drill diameter 24 millimeter, right? So you see these 3 circles, this one here, 2, and what, and 3, they are the buses, right? Why the circle inside of these 3 circles, they are called the drill. Now we are focusing on this particular circle here, right? And this is the center of the circle, which is the same thing as the center point here. Now, what is the diameter of the circle? It is 50 millimeter diameter. That is the diameter. So for you to draw the circle, you need a radius, right? And the radius of this circle is 25. Now, we would have used 25 directly, but since we are drawing half full size, we have to divide that 25 into 2. That will give us what? 12.5. So I'm going to measure 12.5 on my meter rule, right? So if I place my meter rule this way, I'll measure half of it, which is 12.5, and this is what I'll be having from 0, right? This is 10, this is 11, and this is 12.5 here. That again, we're having 12.5 at this point here. Now I'm going to place it at the center point here of these two lines where they intersect, and I'm going to draw the circle which I am going to thicken. You can see that I'm going to thicken the circle. This is what we have. That is one of the buses, right? Now the next thing is, from that center there to the left is 50, and to the right is also 50. So what I'll simply do is, due to the fact that we're using half full size, I won't measure 50. I'll measure half of 50, which is what, 25. So I'm going to take my meter rule, right? And I'm going to measure 25. From here to here is 25, right? All good. And I'll place it at the center here, and I'll mark 25 to the left and also 25 to the right. Then I'm going to take my set square, place it on my T square, and I'm going to extend that point upward this way. I'm going to extend the point upward this way, from here, this way, right? And I'll also extend this point upward this way. You can see, so we've drawn those 2 points, 50 millimeter to the left and to the right, which is we use half of it. Now the next thing is, if you look from this center here to this point here, on that point the height is given to be, we have from that point height is given to be 50, right? So on that point, the line that will pass through that point is where the second bus will be, right? So I'm going to measure 50 from this point upward, which will not be half of it due to the fact that we're using half full size. So from here, I'll measure 50, that is 25, this 25 here, all good. And I'll take my set square where I'm going to draw an horizontal line this way. So at this point where the line meets this line here, which is this point here, is the center of the second circle, the second boss, right? So from now, I will now use the same measurement since both of them are of the same dimension, which is 50. I'm taking half of it, which is 25, and I'm going to place it here at the center of this point. I'm going to draw another circle, which I'm going to thicken this way. You can see that. Now, the next one is from that same point, which is this point here, right, which is also this point here, I'm going to measure 26 millimeter upward to get the third boss, right? Now, due to the fact that we're using half of the measurement, half of the scale, right? So we are going to use 13 instead of the 26. So from this point, I am going to measure 13. So from 0 to this point here is 10, 11, 12, this 13 here. So at that point, I will draw a line this way, that again. So that line I'm drawing will be the center of the third circle. We know they have the same measurement. So I'll just take the same measurement, which is this, and I'll place it at that point here, the center of that point. That center is the center of this circle. Then I'm going to draw another circle. You can see that. Now we move forward. These are the three bosses, right? Now they have a drill, and the drill there is giving us 24 millimeter diameter. Now I'm supposed to draw the circle, the drill, with a radius of 12, right? But since we're using half of the distances, we're going to use radius of what? Of 6 in order to draw it. So I'm going to, on my meter rule, I will measure 6 this way. So this is 6 that we have here. You can see that. And I will place it at the center here, where I'm going to draw this way. You can see that. I'll place it here also, which I'm going to draw this way. And I'll come and place it here also, which I'm going to draw it this way. So these are the drill. We successfully draw those three circles, right? Now the next thing we're going to do is that this arc here is touching these two circles, and also the same arc here, another one is touching these two circles. Now the question is, what is the radius of the arc? The radius is given to be what? 50, right? Now another thing you need to check is what happens to the arc. The arc is going in, right? It is going in, and I told whenever the arc or the curve is going in, that is an external circle, and you have to what? You have to add the radiuses. So I'm going to say that the radius of 50, right, plus the radius of what? 25, because the radius of this 50 here plus the radius of the circle, which is 25, that is going to give us 75, right? Due to the fact that it is half of the dimension that we're using, half of this, half full size, I'm going to measure half of 75, which is what? 37.5. So when I do that, I'll have from 0 here to this point here. This is 37, right? 0.5. And I'll place it at this point. I'm going to strike an arc this way. That again. I'll come to this point too. I'll strike another arc that will intersect the other arc. I'll strike here also. I'll come to this point, and I'll do the same thing too. I'll strike this arc here. The reason is that they all have the same dimension. Now take my compass. This point will be the center of the circle that is going to be touching. That part of the circle will be touching the two circles. So when I place it this way, I'm going to adjust my compass to the circumference of each of the circle, right? So ensuring that I am getting what I actually want. That again, getting the child is exactly put at the center here. You adjust. You adjust it. So once you've done that, you're now going to thicken it. You can see that. Then I'll come here also, the center here. I'll do the same thing. You can see that. Now the next thing is, if you look at this point, from here to here is also the same thing. But in this case, the arc that is connecting this circle, this arc here, connecting the circle has a radius of what? Of 25, right? So what I'm going to do is, half of it is 12.5. I'm going to add 12.5, this radius here, plus the radius of this circle, that again, which is what? 12.5. So 12.5 plus 12.5, that's going to give us what? 25. So I'm going to place my compass here and measure 25, which is here. You see that? And I'll come to this point here. And I'll strike an arc at this level. I'll come here also. I'll strike another arc at this level. So we're adding because it is going in. That's why we have 25. So I'm going to place it here in order to get this. You can see that. That is what we have there. Now we move forward. Now the next thing is this other circle here, right? That is on the same line as this, right? At this point here, the center of that circle, and the diameter of the circle is given to be what? 32. Now we ought to use the radius of 16 to draw that circle, but because we are using half full size, we are going to use 8 in order to get that circle. I'm going to measure the radius of 8 on my meter rule this way. This is the radius of 8 here, and I'll place it at the center here, which marks the center of my circle this way, and I'm going to draw a circle. I'll thicken it. You can see that. And inside of it we have another circle, which is, we call it the drill, and that has a diameter of 16. I ought to use 8mm radius to draw the circle, but because I am using half full size, I'm going to be using 4mm to draw now. So if I get the 4mm from my meter rule, So I'll place it at the center here and I'll draw. That is what we have. Now the next thing that we are going to be doing now will be there's an arc that is touching these two circles, connecting them. The arc is tangential to the circumference of these two circles and it is going in, right? And the radius of the arc is given to be what? 50, right? So, and the radius of the circle it is touching, the first circle, is given to be what? 12.5, right? So 50 plus 12.5, 50 plus 25, right, is going to be giving us 75. Are we good? So I'm going to measure half of 75 due to the fact it's half of the radius. So I'll measure half of 75 this way on my meter rule, and that will be 37.5. This is 37.5 here, right? And I'll place it at this point here. I'm going to strike an arc at this level, right? Then for the other circle, the radius is given to be 16 from 32, radius is 16 plus 50. That will give us what? 16 plus 50 will give us 66, right? So half of 66 is what? 33, because we're using half full size. That's why I'm using doing that. So you're going to measure 33 on your meter rule. This is 33 here, right? And you place it at the center point here of the circle and you strike an arc. Now I'll now place my compass at that center point here where they meet and extend my circle to this point here, my compass to this point, and ensure that it is being tangential to what? To that point. Alright? So ensure that it is tangential to what? To that point. That is what we have. Right? Now the next one is beneath it also we have a radius of what? Of 25. Look at the arc touching these 2 points here. From the diagram, we have a radius of 25, right? Now, and the radius of this bigger circle is also 25. That is what? 50, right? So look at the bosses. It's radius is 25, so it's 50. So I'm going to add the radius of 50. 25 plus 25 give us 50. So I measure 50, which is half of it, which will be 25. Since I'm using half full size, that will be 25, right? And I'll place it here. I'll strike an arc this way. Can I see that? And the other one will be 16. Half of the radius of 32 is 16. So 16 plus 25, that will give us 16 plus 25, that will give us 41, right? So since it's half full size, 41 divided by 2, that will give us what? 20.5. So I'm going to measure 20 from this point. This 20, 10.5 here, right? And I'm going to place it at the center point here. Now strike an arc. So where they meet will be the point that give me this arc here. So the point that give me this arc here. So I'm going to connect it together. So I have to be careful there. So the point that give me that arc. This is it. That is what we have. Right? So we move further. Now the next thing is from this center point here, right, to from this point here to this center here is given to be 128, right? And half of 128 is going to be giving me um to give me 64, right? I'm using 64 because I'm using half full size. So we have from here, which is that point that is pointing on the screen, and measure 64 to the center. So this is 64 here. So that point here you see, I'm going to draw my horizontal line. The point you're seeing will be the center of that circle you're seeing from the figure, right? And the figure has a radius of what? Has a diameter of what? 102. So I'm going to use 51 to draw my circle. I mean this bigger circle here, 51. So I'm going to take my compass and I'm going to measure half of 51 because the diameter is 102, then the rest is 51. So I'm going to use half of what? Of 51, and that will be what? 25.5, right? So measure 25 here. This is 25.5, somewhere around here. That taking. So I'll put it at this point here. I'm going to draw a circle this way. Let's do that and see. I'll draw a circle this way to mark the 25.5. So I'm taking that point. You can see that. Now the next thing is the other one that is inside, has a diameter of what? Of 50, which is supposed to use the radius of what? 25, but because it is half full size, I'm going to use the radius of what? 12.5, right? Which is the same radius as this here, 12.5. Or you measure it on your ruler, 12.5. So you just place it here and you draw another circle. You can see that. Now the next thing is, if you look closely, you will see that we have this point, this point here, and this point here, right? So it is 64 millimeter apart from the center. So I'm going to use half of it, which is what? 32, 32. So I'm going to measure 32 on my meter rule this way. This is 0, this is 32 here, right? And I'll place it at the center point here. And I'm going to mark 32. I also mark 32 here. So that point you're seeing will be the center. This point you're seeing here will be the center of this circle and this circle here, right? So let's do that and see. And if you look at it, it's telling me 2 holes diameter, as in it's telling me the radius of that is given as we have 2 holes diameter of what? 16. That is the inner hole. Then the outside one is given as what? A radius of what? Of 16, right? So to draw this arc out here, we're using a radius of what? Of 16. So that will be half of it, which will be 8, since we're using half full size. So I'll not be using that 16, I'll be using 8 because we're using half full size. And this is 8 here, right? And I'll place it at this point here, and I'll draw a circle this way. Faint line first. That again, I'll draw a circle, faint line first. I'll come here also. I'll do the same thing too. Faint line first. Can you see that? Now the next thing is the one inside. They said diameter of that one inside from here is given to be 16. So I need to use the radius supposed to be what? 8. So I use half of 8 because of half of the distance, and that'll give us what? 4. So I'm going to measure 4, the radius of 4 here, right? This is 4, and I'll place it at the center point here, and I'm going to draw this, right? And I'll come here, it's small, so I'm going to draw this too, and that. You can see that is the drill there. Now the next one is, you discover that there's an arc that is touching this bigger circle and this smaller circle, these two, and that arc is here coming in with a radius of what, 25, right? So what I'm going to do is, I am going to take the radius of 25, 20, 26, yes, it is 26, and I'll add it to that bigger circle, which is radius is what, 20.5. Why is 20.5? The diameter is 102, the radius is what, 51, right? So half of 51, due to the fact that we are doing half full size, will give us what, 25.5, right? So the 25.5 plus the 25.5 plus the 13 that we have here is going to give us 38.5. So I'm going to measure 38.5. This is the 38.5 here. You measure it. 38. This is 30. This is 38 here. And 5. And I'm going to place it at this point, right? I'll strike an arc up, left, down, and down here, right? Now that's what I'll do. Why? Because of, we have the arc at this point, at this point, at this point, at this point, and it's the same dimension. Now the next is for the other one, right? I'm going to use the radius of, if you look at this, the diameter here is 16. I ought to use the radius here is 16. I ought to use it, but because I have two sides, I'm going to use 8. So 8 plus 13, which is the radius of the arc joining this, and that will give us 20, that will give us 21, right? So 8 plus 13 is giving us what? As 21. So I'm going to measure 21 on my meter rule. This is 20, and this 21 here. Start taking, and I'll place it at the center here. I'll strike an arc up and down. At this point here also, I'll strike an arc up and down. Now what do you notice? They are all meeting at this point here. They are all meeting at this point here. Is that taken? So from that point, I'll be able to draw that arc. So let's take this first one first. Adjust the circumference of the circle. I see that. So I'm going to thicken it this way. That again. I'll go to the other one too. I'll do the same thing too. I'll adjust it to touch the circumference of the circle. I'll come to this point too. Take it to touch the circumference of the circle. It's already there. Then to this, I'll do the same thing too, to touch the circumference of the circle. That is what we have there, right? Now the next thing is, I'll just close it up from here, taking the remaining part of it, right? Then here also, I'll take in the remaining part of it. You can see that. So if I like, I've already taken this before. I'll just do it once more again. It is just moving there. That is what we have there. Now we've successfully drawn this. Now the next thing is this line here, these two lines here and here, which we already have. We've already drawn the line from here to here. You can see that. What you do now is to draw this arc, right? And the arc is given as the radius of what? 38. So you need to take half of it, which is what? 19. So you're going to measure 19 from this point. From here, this is 0, and this is what? 19. I'm using 19 because of this half of the full size I'm going to use. And here also, I'm going to measure what? 19. Right? So this is another 19. So at that point, I'm going to extend it upward this way. You can see that. I'll come here also, I'll extend here upward this way. Now the next thing is, since the arc is going in, they're going to add the radius of this circle, which is supposed to be 16, but due to the fact that we're using half full size, we're using what? We're using 8, right? Plus the radius of this other circle, which will be what? Which will be 19. So 8 plus 19, that will give us what? 27. So I'm going to take my compass, right? I'll measure 27 from here to this point here. This is 25, 26, 27 here, and I'll place it at this point, right? At the center point, I'll strike an arc here. Meet here. I'm going to draw the arc that will connect these 2 points together. Just draw the arc that will connect these 2 points together. This is what we have. I'll do this. Now if you look at it, we've done this. Now this has its own dimension too, right? So what we're going to do is, the radius of that particular boss there is given to be 12.5 from 50, because 50 normally the radius is 25, but due to the fact that we're using half of the full size, we're going to be using 12.5. So 12.5 plus what? The radius of this, which is what? Which is 19. So by the time you add 12.5, right, plus 19, you're going to be having 31.5. Are we good now? So I'll use 31.5 at this point here. 31.5 at this point here. From here, this is 31.5, will be somewhere around here. And I'll place it at the center point I want to mark. So where it meets, I'll just place it at that point. So I'll gauge it to meet. You can see that it must meet at this point, right? You can see that. Now the next thing that we are going to be doing here will be the other arc that is here, and that arc has a radius of what? Of 38, right? So half of 38 will be 19, and 19 plus the radius of here, which is 8, that will be what? 27. So I'll measure 27 again here, 10, 20, 27. You see that? And I'll place at the center point, strike on that arc here, and I'll place at the center point also, strike on this line here. So I'm talking about this line. If I place it at this point, I'm going to draw this way. You can see that. meeting it this way. I'll come here also. I'm going to draw meeting it this way. So with that, I can now successfully connect those points together from here to here, from here to here. So you do your center lines that we have. We know we have center lines since these are circles. Now there's still one more thing that we've not done here, and that is this arc here. Right, we have 50, so that means the arc connecting these 2 points together. Is that okay? So let's quickly do that. Now if you look at this, the radius of this is 50. 50 plus 25, 25, half of 25 is what? That's 7.5. So I'm going to measure 7.5 on my meter rule, but knowing fully well that 7.5 is from here to here. So you can just do that from here to this arc here. So I'll just move it to this point and strike an arc this way. You can see that. Then the other one, we have plus 8, that is 25 plus 8, that will give us 33. So I'll measure 33. 0, this is 30, 33 here. And I'll place it at this point here. I'll strike an arc here. This is it. So I'll come here to get this arc here. I'll connect these two together. So we are going to gauge it. You're going to what? You're going to gauge it to this point. Let's begin. You can see that? So we'll just move forward. So from here, I'm going to draw my center line. Long, short, just like that. Then the next one should be this. Two holes. Diameter 15. So we have that, and we move forward. So this is what we actually have. So if you have found this video helpful, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. Thanks for watching.